Hello, welcome, and thank you for watching this month's Tarot Talk. I'm intuitive reader Bryan Stafford from Stafford Tarot and Soul Intention in Guelph, Ontario, and today's Tarot Talk topic is going to be on nudity in the cards. What's that all about? We're going to get into that discussion in just a moment, but first, before we get started, I'm just going to give some time for some viewers to join me on this broadcast. I'll talk a little bit about what's new with Stafford Tarot and Soul Intention, and some of the upcoming events to look forward to, when the next Tarot Talk live event will be next month, and then we'll get into that Tarot Talk topic discussion. We'll spend about 10 minutes talking about that discussion, and then after that I will be offering up to 6 free short distant remote readings to anyone who shows interest in the chat during this broadcast. So if you're watching this from my website and you're just interested to preview the sample readings, feel free to skip ahead about 20-30 minutes, as I will be offering those free readings later on in the broadcast. First though, what's new? Well, Soul Intention over the summer has been pretty exciting. We've had all sorts of events and activities and workshops happening. Upcoming, our next workshop is pretty exciting. It's to learn self-tarot. We have a self-tarot workshop happening. I'll be facilitating it. It's going to be happening on Thursday, August 20th, 2026. It's going to start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's basically going to go through the symbolisms and structure of the tarot, and then learning a reading technique called the path, so that you can understand the basic symbolisms and then use your intuition to build off of that. So I do teach a activity that can be used in your own time after the workshop for you to enhance your intuitive skills and reading capabilities in tarot. Then I'll be offering the self-empowerment workshop is going to be starting up again on, well, first of all, before that, we have a full moon meditation that you might be interested in. It's a fully guided meditation on Wednesday, August 28th, 2026, in celebration of the full moon that day. It's going to be starting at 7 o'clock that day. Then later in the week in September, we have a self-empowerment workshop is coming back to Soul Intention. This is a weekly workshop program that runs for about 8 or 9 weeks. It starts on Tuesday, September 8th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a great course of self-empowerment. Check out all the information about that on my website, soulintention1111.ca. It talks about all the important topics that will be brought up in the themes of each week, and some of the things that you'll be able to work on. Then we have a new moon meditation coming up on Thursday, September 10th, 2026. That's going to start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as that same day we're going to be offering an Oracle Cards workshop. So this is going to be an extension of the self-tarot reading workshop, except it's going to be based on Oracle cards. And we'll talk about the differences between tarot and Oracle cards and how to read them. So looking forward to that. We have psychometry readings happening in the store on Saturday, September 12th, 2026. It's going to happen. We have Susan, the short medium, coming to the store from 10:30 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. that day. She'll be offering her psychometry reading. So if you're not familiar with what a psychometrist is, it's someone who reads the energy of objects. So you can bring in an object and have Susan read the energy of the object psychically. Check out that information on the website. And the next Tarot Talk live event is going to be happening on Tuesday, September 15th, 2026. It's going to start at 8 p.m., similar to tonight. And that tarot topic is going to be about scary cards. We're going to talk about the cards that tend to scare people and why they're really not scary after all. Now, it's worth mentioning some of the upcoming events in the fall. In September, we have a huge list of lineups of events and activities happening from September to December. On the website, check it out. There is pre-registration available as well as prepayment options, but you can pay when you arrive at the workshop. But registering allows us to understand the numbers that are interested, as well as it reserves your place. So if that workshop fills up, if you've registered, you're guaranteed your spot. So it's really important to register. You might be interested in the smoke cleansing workshop that we have happening on Thursday, September 17th, 2026. It's It's going to start at 6:30 p.m. Very intricate and in-depth workshop about cleansing and smudging. Check that out. We have an intuitive art workshop that's happening for parents and kids together on Saturday, September 19th. It's going to start at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Going to be a fun event. We'll have snacks and refreshments and just have fun learning about flow art and flow painting. On Thursday, September 24th, we have our next sound bath with Dean Stacy from Windborne Arts. Very excited about that. His sound baths are just extraordinary. He's a musician himself, and the harmonies are just gorgeous. He does amazing sound baths. Check it out. And more. I mean, I can go on and on and on about the events that are happening. Check out the website, www.soulintention1111.ca. That's soulintention1111.ca. And go into events, and you can see the big list of stuff we have happening. It starts with what's happening during the week and then goes into recent events and goes into the future the further you go down that list. Check it out. There is so much information on that website. We have a crystal blog. We have soul intention entries about the services we provide. All of these service providers are listed on that website, not only the ones that are in store on a regular basis, but also ones that you can connect with that are part of the community. We really look at ourselves as a healing hub in the community. We just want to support different artisans and different service providers that are local. We are currently supporting over 70 local artisans and local authors in the store. It's so exciting. If you haven't been to the store yet at 497 Woolwich Street in Guelph, Ontario, I suggest you come to it. It is such a treasure trove of treasures. You really have to dive deep, dig, and explore the store to see everything that's in it. We do section it off, so if you're interested in crystals or crafting supplies or jewelry, or we do try to organize it as best we can, but it is a treasure trove of special items. So come check us out, come visit us, just come for tea and a chat and a cookie, and just put your feet up and enjoy the ambiance. It's really what we have tried to provide. Speaking of which, all of those weekly services are happening regularly, including we have mediumship readings happening on Tuesday with Janice Moffat. We have Reiki sessions and astrology sessions with Christine Weil on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Fridays, we now have Melissa Downard offering spiritual channeling. And on Sundays, we have Max and Passionin offering very amazing palm readings. And then throughout the week, most days you can get tarot readings from either Cindy or myself. Plus, I offer charm readings, rune readings, tea leaf readings, as well as I do some psychic mediumship myself. And there's a whole lot more available in the services section on the website. If you find a service provider that's listed on that website, you can always reach out to us and we will connect you. We'll look at the availability of the service provider and let you know options on when you can come in and see them. All that information is available on the website, so check it out. Really exciting. The website has really taken off, and the store has become a commonplace for some people. It's just been amazing to watch it grow, and the development and the process that's taking place. We're just watching the healing that it's bringing, and it's just amazing. So tonight's tarot talk topic is about nudity in the cards. What's the point of this? Why have nudity in the cards? Why are people literally naked? Well, I just want to start off by saying this is not sexual. There's nothing sexual about the messages that come from the cards. It's really about vulnerability. It's about allowing yourself to be vulnerable. If you think about it as your authentic self, when we strip off our clothes, it's our natural authentic selves. It's the way we're born, the way we're brought into this world. And so that's the association that the cards are trying to touch on. And I'll give you an example. The first card I want to show is the World card. This is the standard tarot structure from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and many decks are based on the imagery and symbolisms of this specific deck. And so you can see here, this person has had to make themselves vulnerable to see the different perspectives or to understand the different perspectives. Sometimes this card is about understanding where you fit in the world. And so that you have to make yourself vulnerable in order to understand that or to see it fully, right? Similar to the Star card. The Star card is all about having a gift, a talent, something special about you. It can come out as being embracing yourself, getting to know yourself on a extreme level, you know, high vibrational energy. It's about shining that light and bringing healing to others. You have to make yourself vulnerable in order to get to know yourself that well, hence the vulnerability in the card. Sometimes we have to be vulnerable to receive judgment, to judge ourselves or be judged by others. And so you can see the vulnerability in the different cards that are expressed. Even cards that are, you know, in relationship, you have to make yourself vulnerable in relationship, right? In the same way as going through massive transition, making yourself vulnerable to understand the process of that transition. And even empowerment has vulnerability attached to it. So these are the main cards in the higher arcana of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck that show nudity in the cards. And I thought they were great examples to just show the different ways that vulnerability can be applied in readings. There's different ways that you can read these cards, and I'm not going to go through all the different ways and meanings of the cards, but you can see my point. Whether you read it with definition of the book or whether you're reading it intuitively, nudity is mostly about vulnerability, getting to know yourself on a very internal level. Thank you for that comment, Dean. I love that. Sorry, I was born fully dressed in a tux. You know, some people hide their vulnerability. I would suggest always keeping in touch with your true self. Hi, Alex. Thanks for the message, as well as Maggie. Thanks so much. Absolutely, Maggie. I can add you to the list of readings. We're not starting yet, but definitely when we get started, you'll be first on the list. And anyone who's interested to receive a reading, just let me know in the chat, write interested, and I will add you to the list because I'm going to go in the order that I see people suggest. If I should take a moment just to mention that if there's delays in the call with the technology that we're using to do this broadcast, sometimes it takes me about 20-30 seconds for whatever's been entered into the chat to appear on my screen. So just have some patience. If you've entered something in the chat and I'm not responding yet, I may not have seen it yet, but I will watch carefully. If it seems that I've missed either you're interested in a reading or you have a question, ask again. Just make sure that you get my attention. I do watch carefully, but you know, sometimes there's bad signals or different interruptions or even I hope I can be heard clearly. That's even happened in previous tarot talks where I couldn't even be heard. So let me know. Absolutely, Jody, I can add you to the list too. So first, I'll go in the order of Maggie, then Jody, and anyone else who shows interest. Oh, thank you, Dean, and then Dean. And anyone else who's interested, just let me know in the chat. So if there's any questions about what I've gone over so far on this very quick overview of the topic, let me know. You can also enter any questions into the chat. I think the card that most surprises people is the Sun card. The question that I've been asked from people that I teach tarot to is, why is there a nude child on the Sun card? And again, it's about vulnerability. It's about how you were brought into this world. It's about understanding your true potential as you are, not how you express yourself through your clothing, through your makeup, through the ways in which you design yourself every day. It's about the internal. Who are you on a natural level? And the Sun card is all about empowerment. It can mean healing, because empowerment can bring healing, but you have to be vulnerable in order to empower yourself, to get to know yourself that well and go through that transition of enlightenment. You're not going to be able to go through those personal processes by not doing the inner work, by not understanding who you are on an energetic level. if you don't know who you are, you're not going to tap into your true self, or understand your true potential, see the ways in which you look at the world or where you fit in, or the empowerment that you offer. And so, yeah, just try not to, some people are actually a little intimidated by some of the imagery in tarot, but you have to think about the messages that are coming from the cards. What are the cards trying to tell you? And intuitively, if you're disturbed by something that is shown in the cards and it's not really related to the message that you're receiving, I would work on that for yourself. There could be some underlining things to work on, either from your past or from experience, or maybe just getting to know yourself well through some shadow work, some written exercises perhaps, all sorts of different ways in which you can get to know your energy better. I always like to suggest written exercises as shadow work or workings, simply because you can't write as fast as you think. And so as you're writing it down, maybe writing yourself a letter, you slow down your thoughts. You have to then reread. You make sure your words make sense. It allows you to reprocess the information on a very different level than just speaking it off the top of your head or thinking about it. It slows down that process and allows you to get into that sort of nitty-gritty of the shadow work. Absolutely, Alex. I'll add you to the list as well. I'm just reading a message that's come up here. Thank you, Maggie. When completing a reading, if the cards are reversed, it is assumed in part that you aren't being vulnerable or in touch with self. It is a card with nudity. I would say follow your intuition on that. Not all tarot readers will follow reversal card messages. And if you do, that's great. But I would say you're on the right track, Maggie. That, if the world card comes out this way, for me, depending on the subject or topic of the card reading, as well as the energy of my person that I'm doing it for, the world card is often about changing your perspective, seeing the different ways that you could make yourself vulnerable to change your perspective. If it turns out this way, it's about holding on to your perspective from my point of view, that you don't need to change your perspective. Don't be influenced by the external world when you know who you are. You still have to make yourself vulnerable through that process. The nudity still stands out for me as a reader. Same as the star card. Quite often the star card represents a skill, a talent, something special about the person I'm reading for. When it's reversed, that skill and talent is still there, but they may not see the full potential of it. They may not be fully aware. When the card comes out like this, usually they know what I'm talking about. They have this inkling feeling like, yeah, I do have this something in me that I can express, or that, or they do understand, I'm talented, I'm a musician, I'm an artist, or whatever it is that they shine their light through. When it's this way, it doesn't mean that they still don't have to be vulnerable. It means they may not see the big picture for themselves. So either way, the vulnerability still stands out for me, whether they're reversed or not. But that's the way that I read with my intuition. I would say allow your intuition to follow you, Nikki. What does it mean for you in the vulnerability when the card is reversed? Different reversal messages may speak different to me depending on how my intuition is tuning in at that time. I would say, that's why I say follow your intuition. Often, because I follow a structure in my readings and I don't always follow the definitions of the cards, if something stands out for me intuitively, I must go with that. I have to follow through with that message. And what I'm gravitated to, which is confirmation of those messages, is the imagery in the cards that I'm drawn to. So what stands out most in the card? So if the nudity stands out most in a card, it's usually about vulnerability, making yourself vulnerable, standing out. Maybe it's an uncomfort zone for you. If you think about those dreams where you're in front of a crowd in your underwear, you're naked, it's vulnerability. That's what those dreams are about. I do hope that this makes sense. Let me know if there's any other questions. Thank you for the questions so far. I do hope that makes sense, Maggie. So thank you so much. If you can always reach out to me if there's other questions through my Stafford Tarot website, www.staffordtarot.com. You can also watch the pre-recorded episodes previously. I've been doing these tarot talks for over 6 years now, and every month I've been consistent recording and saving all of my episodes. So I have like something like 60 episodes of tarot talk with all different topics that you can preview, watch. You don't have to watch the entire episode, just watch the first 10-20 minutes of to get the topics. You can always skip ahead 5 minutes to avoid the upcoming events of that time. But the point is having those topics. I did make short videos of the topics on my TikTok account. So if you have TikTok and you want to follow me on there, feel free, and you might get some of those tarot talk discussion topics presented to you or sent right to you. You're very welcome, Maggie. And I'm glad that the perspective and thought is helpful. So if there's no more questions, let's get into those readings, shall we? So I'll start with Maggie, and then I'll give a reading to Jody, and then Dean, and then Alex, and I have 2 more spots available if anyone's on the call that's interested. Just let me know. I'll keep watch for the messages on the screen here. Now I'm just going to cleanse and clear the deck. I always start my readings with a 1-card impression pull from this deck. This is the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It's my oldest deck. I received this deck when I was 12 years old, started giving readings when I was 15, and I extended into all sorts of other decks. So I became a trans-dimensional tarot reader, which sounds more impressive than what it is. It really just means that I look at the different dimensions of different decks within one tarot session. So I always start with that 1-card impression pull, then I'll move to a 3-card pull with my Morgan Greer deck, which is similar to the Rider-Waite-Smith, and then we can extend further into another deck depending on where we'd like to take the reading from there. So thank you so much, Maggie. I see your message there. General reading, please. Absolutely. So I'm just going to start with that 1-card impression pull, and then I'll move to this deck for that general reading. Now, anyone who's receiving a reading tonight, I just want to mention that you can either choose a topic or question of your choice that you can write into the chat, or leave it general. Quite often when readings are left general, the messages you need to hear are what show up, but it's up to you and everyone who receives a reading if you want to refine what you're looking for. So Maggie, what I get for you is the 5 of Swords reversed. Swords are about heavy thoughts and intellectual concepts. 5 is like a pivotal point. It's like a choice. I like to describe it in numerology as a middle point on a path. If you're on a journey from 0 to 10 and you get to 5, you have just as much effort and distance going to the destination as you do as going back to the drawing board at the beginning. And so you have to make a choice for yourself. What's in my best interest? Do I continue or do I go back? And that usually brings change, which is why 5 in numerology is often about transition or change. It's that pivot point. And so when you have a pivot point with heavy on your mind, it can be a win or lose situation. And this situation is, with the card reverse, suggests to me, Maggie, that you've done the right thing, that you've avoided having this no win-win situation. When the card looks like this, it's like you're victorious, but there's no winners. You can see the people involved are ashamed. This person doesn't even look very proud. It's like you're victorious and you may have achieved something, but no one feels like they're the winner. When it's reversed, you may have avoided that. You may have prevented that, or the situation wasn't as bad based on the actions that you took or how you're thinking about this. So let me know if that makes sense to you, Maggie. I really think that this card is suggesting that it could have been worse if it wasn't for the way that you handled something. Now, general reading. I'm going to continue, and I'll watch for any messages or confirmations from you. But we're just going to generally pull 3 cards and see how those cards speak to each other to get the messages. really interesting cards, all practicalities, no higher arcana screaming important messages. Oh, I have a connection warning. I hope you can hear me okay. Let me know if there's any disruption in the call, if you wouldn't mind. And so I'm going to continue. The first card that comes out is the Nine of Wands reversed. Now, the Nine of Wands, 9 in numerology is about that end goal. What's the vision? What's the destination? Where are you headed, right? And wands are actions and passions. So when you take the right actions to get to where you're going, that's often what this card represents. Now, when it's this way, you take actions that are different from everyone else, and you kind of have to do this your own way. It's reversed, meaning that the actions that you're taking are sort of expected in some way. So this could be like following an approach or doing things in a way that you think it should be done, or the right way. That could be expectations on you from others, but it's really about knowing what you want for yourself and the actions that you take that lead to that destination. The Nine of Pentacles is the next card that I'm going to talk about, because with these two cards side by side, I feel like they're speaking together. This is the Nine of Wands representing, you know, the way in which what you need for yourself and the actions that you take, and then you have the Nine of Pentacles, which represents this destination that you have, a vision of how your life should look. Now, it's reversed because there seems to be some sort of wrench thrown in that plans, and something needs to be resolved in order to achieve this vision. When you resolve the challenge that's holding you back, this card flips around and you're now going towards that vision, keeping it in your mind and creating that destination for yourself. But in the meantime, it seems challenging. Try not to be discouraged if you have a specific vision for your life or you're making transition towards that vision. I believe you'll get there. It's just going to need to resolve the challenges first that get in the way. The next card is the Page of Swords. This is about getting into a new path based on what you're thinking. Swords, heavy thoughts and intellectual concepts. Pages are like messengers in the tarot in the higher court. Court is what I mean by the, you know, the king and queen, the knight and the page. Those positions are considered court positions in the tarot because it's all about directing yourself through decisions, through deciding the direction that you go, through actions that you take. And the page is often about changing your perspective or getting into a new path, or directing yourself differently. And this is based on something that's heavy on your mind because it is the sword. So an idea that takes you into a new direction, perhaps. I have a feeling that these cards are all related, that this new direction based on what you're feeling may be the flip that you need in order to get to the destination that you're going. But in the meantime, it looks like this. You haven't followed through with this yet, perhaps, and that's why this card is also reversed. When you do follow through with this and you take the action that's for you, this card will flip around as well, right? So I do believe that you can flip the cards in a reading to see the potential of decision-making moving forward. Nothing is not set in stone. Everything is liquid for the future. The decisions that you make from here and there will change your direction or your outcome. And so, you know, make the decisions best for your situation now. I think if you use these the way that you're thinking to get you into that new direction, like I said, I think that that will prompt you to then work towards your vision and do what you need for yourself. I do hope that this is helpful, Maggie. I'm gonna pull one card from my manifestation deck. I'm gonna ask this deck how we make this happen. You have this vision, and I want to know what you need to do to manifest that vision. Now, like I said, nothing is set in stone. Everything's liquid, and so just keep that in mind, that the suggestion that comes up is something to consider, and the decisions that you make from here and there are really what's important. The Boundaries card. I think moving forward, you want to Be careful with boundaries, understanding your boundaries, understanding other people's boundaries. This card can speak two ways. It can speak to the boundaries that we set to create safety and for ourselves, or it can mean setting boundaries for ourselves. But either way, it seems moving forward, there's boundaries that are the way in which this happens. Setting boundaries for yourself is the way that you manifest this desired outcome. I do hope that's helpful. Oh, thank you for that message there, Maggie, that my perspective are changing, and so this is very accurate. I appreciate that feedback. I think just trust your heart, allow it to guide you. I think that you understand what you need for yourself. That's why you have this vision. And so don't give up on that. Just keep that in your mind and you'll find your path towards it. Just keep in mind you do that by setting boundaries. Thank you so much for letting me do your reading for you. Hi, Jane. Thanks for joining. I see your message there. Absolutely. I will add you to the list to receive a reading. I just finished Maggie's reading, and then I'll do Jody. Jody, if you're next, let me know if you're on the call. And then Dean, and then Alex, and then Jane. So Jane, each reading takes about 15 minutes to do, so you may have about 45-minute wait. I hope that's okay. So I'll just cleanse the cards and get ready for the next reading. And Jody, if you're on the call, let me know if you would like a specific topic or if you have a question you'd like discussed. Otherwise, like we did just now, it can be left general. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Jody. I see you there, general. So I'll start with that one card impression pull from my original deck. Okay, so Jody, just connecting with your energies and charging the cards with that intention. Just asking them where you're at. I feel like they need to be cleansed. Okay. There we go. Okay. That feels better. So Jody, interesting. What I get for you is the 9 of Pentacles upright. So this is about understanding the vision that you're headed, creating this vision for yourself. You can see here that this person has their fancy pet, their gown, they're in this exotic garden. This is the way they envisioned their life and what they worked towards to achieve for themselves. And this is suggesting you're in that kind of process, Jody, that you're creating this vision for yourself. Notice that it's not reversed, meaning that there would be this challenge that has to be resolved first. It's come out this way, and so you're on your way towards this, whatever the vision is. Just hold on to that vision. What really stands out for me is the grapevines in the background, in the hedge, and that's often about that this is a path of healing. So your destination may not be a physical place as much as a spiritual place, perhaps. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm just focusing on that general reading. You're very welcome, Maggie. Thank you for your message there. Wow. Okay, so you saw how well I shuffled the deck. There are no coincidences in tarot. The same cards have come out. Just excuse me, except just in different positions. So I'll talk about that. I'll go in the order that they came out. The first one is the Page of Swords reversed. Unable to get into that new direction based on what's heavy on your mind. Jody, this could be like if you are having difficulty changing your perspective or changing the direction that you're going based on what's heavy on your mind. I think it could mean that you're keeping things the way that they are, or that you want to stay on the path, not change things or go into that other direction. Now, the Ten of Wands is the next card, and this is often about taking action that's different than all of the other actions around you. Even if you have the support of other people, it's different, and so you have to do this your own way. The actions that you take are your own actions in the ways that you're handling this situation. And that's leading you to the Nine of Pentacles, the same card that you're at now. So because these two cards are showing the same symbolisms, the same associations, this card came out from where you're at in the moment. And this card was a generalization on your reading. And so I really think that you're in this space now. It's just a matter of empowering yourself, taking the actions that you need to take, and knowing the direction that you need to go. I do hope this helps, Jody. I'm thinking about how to extend this reading further into another deck. I'm wondering about my Witch's Wisdom deck. It gives great insight in terms of messages that need to come to the surface. And this just seems like such a personal journey, even though it's headed in the right direction. And so I'm going to look at what message you need to hear for yourself, given this, if that's okay. Just because that Page of Swords is reversed, I'm not sure if you're wanting to keep things the way that they are, or if you're unable to go through that change. But either way, things don't seem to be changing. I was only going to pull one card, but I felt drawn to pull three when I got to that point, and so I have to follow that intuitive sense. There could be more that you need to hear from this deck, and so I'm going to follow through with that. You have two higher arcanas leading to a higher arcana, or sorry, two lower arcanas leading to a higher arcana. The one that I'm going to start with is the Four of Earth. This is about finding grounding and structure for yourself. If you create sacred space for yourself where you can ponder, meditate, decide for yourself, I think that's what's missing, or that's what could be necessary, is just taking that sacred space for yourself. The Ten of Earth reversed is often about not relying on interconnections with other people, completely relying on yourself. And it doesn't mean that you can't trust others, it just means that this is on you. And whether others will understand or not, or whether others will follow through or be helpful, I'm not sure. Because this is reversed, I'm almost thinking that it's saying connect with your inner self instead of around you. So not the external connections are not nearly as important as the internal connection that you can create for yourself. Oh, thank you for that comment there, Jody. I'm indecisive about a direction. So that would make sense with this card being flipped then. I can understand that better. So thank you for that comment. Now, the next card that I want to talk about is the Higher Arcana, which is usually an important message. It's the Love card reversed. Now, the Love card reversed comes out this way. This card is often about relationship when it comes out this way. It doesn't have to be romantic relationship, but when it's reversed, it's often about showing yourself love. If it's about relationship, you have to love yourself before you can allow someone to love you. If it's about self-love, for example, you may be being hard on yourself, or have to give yourself a break, or allow yourself some consideration maybe. Try not to be too hard on yourself. It seems to be an impression that I'm getting from this card. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, you have Pentacles, Wands, Swords. Earth is equivalent to Pentacles, with two higher arcanas appearing on the table. Two higher arcanas, one reversed, one not. There's indecision there. And the suits on the table are interesting because there's no cups. And I think it's just as important to look at what doesn't show up as what does, because what does show up are the messages you needed to hear, such as what you need for yourself, actions to be taken, and the thoughts or process of like the mental process. But cups represent emotion in tarot. And I think it's important to point out, Jody, that you're not being directed with cups, meaning that you understand your emotions well. you understand the emotional process of what you're going through. If you didn't, you'd have cups all over the table, right? And so take that as maybe confirmation, perhaps, but I think it's your heart that will direct you well through this. Listen to your heart. Trust those instincts. Perhaps it's intuition, because that's connected to the cups as well. But I really think the messages you need to hear are how you're thinking about this, the actions that you take, and what you need for yourself. You may need to put yourself first in this in order to achieve your goal. I do hope that this is helpful. So I'm going to, unless you have any questions, Jody, I do hope that this was helpful and made sense. I'm going to cleanse and put the cards away and move on to my next reading for Dean. So Dean, if you're available, let me know if you have a topic or question. Otherwise, it can be left general like we've done so far tonight. When I look at this reading as a whole, Jody, I just want to point out that it all seems to be internal, right? The internal vision that you have for yourself, the actions that you take, the way that you're feeling about this, and that self-love. I really think that this reading is talking about self-empowerment more than anything else. I do hope that this is helpful. I think just looking at the cards based on the comment that I saw you make there and decision about a direction, I think it's up to you to work out the direction that you take. What is going to lead you to this? What is the decision that's going to lead you to what you want? I think that's how you decide. Oh, thank you, Jody. That's helpful as always. Oh, thank you for that feedback. I appreciate that. Okay, just cleansing the decks so we can start a fresh reading with new energies. Okay, Dean, I'm now connecting with you, charging the cards with that energy. Now, what I noticed, Dean, is that for you, the cards seem rigid. They're hitting each other. They're not being as fluid as they were with the other two readings, and that's often a sign for me that you may be your worst enemy in some way. So not like working against yourself, or if you make a decision and you second guess yourself or you question yourself on if that's the right choice, or I think you just need to believe in yourself, go with it, and the cards will shuffle smoother. Now the cards that came out is the Knight of Wands reversed. Not able to take direction or action. Now, this is usually action upon action. The Wands represent actions and passions, and Knights are the action takers. When the card comes out like this, it's about taking important action. Like you're on the go, you're a go-getter, you have this goal, this task, this action to complete, and you're just on the go to go complete that task. When it's reversed, as I mentioned earlier, it's almost like something has to be resolved first, or a challenge, or it doesn't feel like a wrench thrown in your plans per se, but more of a hiccup, or just something that needs to be challenged or resolved. I hope that makes sense. Let me know how that speaks to you, Dean. And general works. I see your message there, so I'm just going to focus on your energy and just ask the cards what you need to hear for yourself today. So practical cards, 2 court cards, 2 kings, and a suit. I'm going to start, where do I start? I'm going to start at the suit and work my way towards those bookending kings. Obviously, there's heavy decisions to be made, but I first want to start with this card because it's the 8 of Swords. Now, it did not come out reversed. Eight of Swords is often about working through the process of heavy thoughts that are against you. You can see swords are represented by heavy thoughts, and what they're doing to the main character, they are literally binding and blindfolding them. If they could just remove that blindfold to receive more information, it would be very helpful in resolving the challenge. But it's almost like you have to resolve this without having all the information. Sort through as much as you can these heavy thoughts, and you will relieve and remove these binds and be able to remove the blindfold. Okay, but in the meantime, it looks like this. When you do work through these heavy thoughts and remove the blindfold, this card flips around and you're now getting past that, or being freed from being held back. The first king I want to talk about is the King of Cups. This is about making really emotional decisions, and decisions that are direct, consequential, and can be forceful, given that it's a King of Cups. Notice how it's upright, meaning you're perfectly able to make this choice. It's just a matter of going through the process, actually sitting in that throne to reign. Same as the King of Pentacles comes out. King of Pentacles is about making decisions based on what you need for yourself. So this is emotional decisions, this is personal decisions. Quite often Pentacles represent health or finances, because really, what more do we need in life? But the Pentacles are about needs, and so making those decisions about what you need, and decisions about how you're feeling about this. If these are connected, which I have a feeling that they're not, but if they're connected, it would mean like a decision that's emotional and about needs. Since I'm feeling that they're a little separated and bookending this reading, I wonder if there's more decisions that need to be made. You need to make emotional decisions, and you need to make decisions about what you need for yourself. And that can be overwhelming, because they're both kings, and kings are usually profound or hard decisions to make. And so trust your instincts, follow your intuition in making those decisions, Dean. When I bring this reading back to where you are now in the moment, I wonder if this Knight of Wands reversed is about the decisions that need to be made. They could be about decisions in which the actions you're going to take forward, which is why it's reversed. When you make these decisions, that card could flip around, and in the moment, you'll be off on the go. But in the meantime, it looks like this. There's these decisions that need to be made, and you seem to be holding yourself back somehow. Let me know how you feel about this, Dean, or if this makes sense. Oh, thank you for that. I often take time before taking action. That would make sense to me why this card could be reversed then, because if you're not taking that initial, action forward yet, because you're still in the process, perhaps, of taking that time. Maybe taking that time involves making these decisions. Oh, thank you for that feedback. You have a feeling that this is about something coming. I'd follow through with that feeling, Dean. Sometimes, people's intuition can speak to them just as loud as mine can in these readings. If you feel like this is something to come, follow through with that. Given that these are about decisions to be made, that could be, part of that. I'm curious if you think this is about something that's to come, and so I'm drawn to my Zen deck. My Zen deck gives great insight in terms of energetic interaction, and if I focus on this experience moving forward, I could focus on the energetic interaction of this experience. So what could be expected? Now, I always say that during future forecasts that, as I said in this call already, nothing's set in stone, everything's liquid, and the decisions that you make between now and then can change the outcome of what the cards say. But I really think that that's the power of the cards, because if the cards tell you something's coming that you don't like the sound of, you can now prepare, make changes, maybe even prevent it, moving forward into the future, and you can change it. But from this point on is what we're looking at. So what do things look like from this point on, given these emotional and personal decisions and whatever's holding you back? Interesting cards. A High Arcana, 2 suits. I'm going to go through the suits first. I feel like these two suits are speaking together, but I'm going to talk about them separately and then show you how they may be integrated together, okay? So the first one is the healing card. This is about discovering what you need for yourself in terms of healing yourself, going through a healing process. Notice it's not reversed, so there's no interruption with this healing. There's no, you're on the process of this healing. You're not at the beginning of this journey either. I really think that this has been an ongoing healing journey for you, and you're still on it. And that is the energetic interaction of where you're headed. Now, there's also the guilt card, which is interesting. This card isn't always about guilt or feeling responsible. It can often be those heavy thoughts and how they interfere. And you can see that in the imagery itself. There are these hands tugging on her head, almost like these abrasive thoughts. And that's what's standing out for me most. It's the clouds. And clouds are often a realization of some kind. So when things come out of the clouds, it usually represents like discovery or realization. And so I really think that this is about discovering what's heavy on your mind and working through that process. Again, this card and this card kind of go hand in hand, right? The heavy thoughts that hold you back. You can see what it's doing. That brings us to the Lover's card. This is going to lead you into somewhere that you love. These decisions that you're making are leading towards what you need for yourself, what you love. The Lover's card doesn't always have to be people or relationship. What's really standing out for me is the symbol between them, not necessarily the two people. And so I really think this is about self-love, or finding something that you love for yourself, or doing something that you love. It feels like that. And when I look at the cards, it brings healing, and it's going to help you work through these heavy thoughts. When I bring this reading right back to where you started with this one card impression pull, this Knight of Wands reverse, it kind of makes sense to me why this is reversed, not only from your feedback, Dean, but from the way that this reading has gone. I really think that it's about the process of making these decisions for yourself. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, you have swords, cups, pentacles, you're sitting in wands, like every element's on the table. This isn't just compartmentalized into one portion of your life. This overspills into all areas of your life. So keep that in mind. Also, with only one higher arcana appearing on the table, this is about spiritual development and journey. So keep that in mind. Don't be hard on yourself. If you're adding these swords to yourself, if you're carrying weight that you don't need to, maybe look at those cord cuttings, or relieving yourself of those heavy thoughts. But notice that both your kings are upright, which means you can sit in this throne, you can make this decision. There's nothing stopping you. It's just a matter of doing it. So as you said, maybe you need to take your time. But this does not feel like a horrible outcome. It does seem to lead to a good place of something you love, and this healing that's going to come out of it, and working through this process. I do hope this is helpful, Dean. Let me know if you have any comments, or if you have any questions about what's come up here. I really think that this reading is speaking to personal development and journey, like on a soul level, like spiritual development. Thank you for that feedback, Dean. Yep, cool. I do hope it's helpful. Thank you so much for receiving a reading from me tonight. I'm going to put away the cards, cleanse, and clear them, and then I'll move on to Alex. Oh, hi, Alex. General reading for me. Perfect. Otherwise, I am screening some prospects, tenants, and I think I found one. I think it would be nice to have an insight about that. Certainly. Okay, I'll focus the question on that. So I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull that just tells me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then I'll move to the Morgan Greer deck where I'll focus on that question. Oh, thank you for that feedback, Dean. Yep, makes sense. Been doing it for a while now. So if you feel like that the cards have been explaining where you're at now, know that there could be variables that need to be resolved before you can see where it's headed. Probably those kings, those questions that need to be answered, right? Decisions that need to be made. For you, Alex, in the moment, I got the Temperance card. This is about creating a balance between two aspects of your life. What's really standing out for me is the glow in the background, almost like the halo that's around her head. That's often about insight, knowledge, intuition, understanding, and creating this balance. I think if you follow your intuition, you'll know how to create that balance. You'll feel what's off and what needs to be adjusted, how to adjust that properly. The flowers are also standing out for me, and that can mean healing or development and growth. I'll leave that with you, how that sits. But the biggest aspect that stands out for me is that balancing between two parts of your life. Let me know if that makes sense. I'm going to focus now on the general reading, but I'm going to kind of look at that insight on that on the prospective tenant. Actually, I think I'm going to split this up. I'm going to do a general reading and then I'll move into your question about the tenant. I think that that might be more helpful. I just feel drawn to that, and so I just think that this deck may have something to tell you more generally, since that's what you originally requested. All practical cards, really interesting pattern throughout the evening. I'm seeing form a little bit. Now, this is a court card, 2 suits. I'm just going to go through the suits towards that court card. I just feel drawn to them in that way. This is the 3 of Wands reversed. It's about not being able to decide the action that you take forward. If the card's this way, you're making a choice between these 3 actions. Actions are represented by Wands in tarot. And you can see here he's chosen one, like he's made a decision. He's put one behind him, like that's no longer a choice. And he's got this one off to the side, like just in case he changes his mind. It's really about making this decision in yourself. 3 is about inner communication. Wands are actions and passions, so communicating which action you need to take. When it's reversed, it's often about not able to create that for yourself, not able to communicate it or make a choice or decision, whatever's holding you back from that. Sometimes it's just needing more information. The 5 of Swords is what's next. This is often about having a no win-win situation that was either avoided or made better. We had this card come up earlier tonight. I'm getting this similar sense from this card that it's about avoiding an obstacle or making it not as bad as what it could have been. The next card is the Knight of Rods reversed. Not able to take action based on what you need for yourself. I have a feeling that that's because of this indecision. And as soon as you decide the action you need to take, you'll then be able to take that important action. They'll both flip around together, but in the meantime, they look like this. Notice that they're all reversed. All of the cards came out reversed in the main part of this reading, and that often represents to me a challenging time, that this isn't easy, this isn't just like a run through or straightforward. It's more complicated than it appears. Now, that was the generalized look at this. Let's look at the energetic interaction of that prospective tenant. This is my Zen deck. I used it earlier tonight, and it really does give great energetic interaction descriptions. And so I'm just going to ask it what the energetic interaction is of this prospective tenant. Where is this going to move forward? What's that going to be like, is what I'm asking. Now, again, I do need to mention that, you know, when I look at future topics, that it's the decisions that you make moving forward that will materialize or manifest. Really interesting. Higher Arcana, 2 suits. One's a decision, one's practical. I'm going to work my way through the practical decision and then Higher Arcana. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm feeling drawn to go the other way, so I'm going to go the other way. The Higher Arcana is where I'm going to start. It is the Lover's card. Really interesting about this because the energetic interaction moving forward with this tenant, could be good friends, or could be, creating an establishment or a connection. I don't know. I'm getting a weird sense from this card. I don't think it's a relationship for you, but a relationship for them, if that makes sense. So there could be more involved with this tenant. Maybe they'll invite someone in and then you'll have 2. I don't know. There's an interesting dynamic happening with this card. I almost see the faces in the heart before I see the people. And so that's often about potential. Let me know how you feel about that, or what that means for you, Alex. What does your intuition say when the Lover card comes up? It's the light that really stands out for me in the faces and the heart, not the people. And it's usually the people that stand out for me in the card when it's about lovers. The relationship interaction of people, it's the people that stand out in the card. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, it could be for her or not for you. The energetic interaction of that tenant. Now, the next one is the Abundance card. This is often about, taking it easy, going with the flow. It uses a kind of a hippie narrative on the card. And it's really about, just being cool, going with the flow, and receiving that abundance. Now, abundance doesn't always come through about money. I mean, if you have lots of friends, you can be abundant. If you, depending on how you look at abundance or prosperity, this is suggesting abundance, meaning a lot of something. I also feel like there's a balance in this, in the way that the moon and the sun are equal in the sky. That stands out for me, and so I think that's really about balance. Consciousness is the suit card that I want to talk about. This is considered sort of the Ace of Swords in this tarot structure. It's really about understanding a thought, going internal through your thought process, realizing how you're thinking about this. I think that this tenant is going to change your perspective in some way. It's going to have you looking at things a little differently. Maybe it'll help you realize something for yourself. Thank you for that feedback, Alex. I think it is a good biz relation. I think he has a good heart. So that's where you're getting from the Lover's card, perhaps, and that following your own intuition in this reading. I would say that if these 3 cards reflect the energetic interaction of that tenant, the Lover's card, the Abundance card, and the Consciousness card, I think if I apply that to him, we have this very considerate person who does the heavy thinking. He may be laxed or relaxed, kind of laid back, and also, be a good person, have that heart. Perhaps that's where you got that message, but it may bring relationship in some way. I do hope that this is helpful, Alex. When I look at this reading as a whole, you have pentacles, you have wands, you have swords, you have wands again, and you're sitting in cups, but no cups on the main part of the reading. And so I think it's really that emotional balance, given that the only cup that appears is in where you're at now with that balancing aspects of your life. I don't think this is going to be a bad situation. I really don't. I just think that it moves forward with ease. I would say trust your instincts with it. I don't think it's going to be, I don't see challenges. I don't see huge disruption. I don't see, I mean, what I see is very flow, very conscious, very heartfelt. And so I just think the energetic interaction moving forward with this tenant is probably not going to be a bad one. I do hope that this is helpful, Alex. Oh, you're very welcome. I see your message there. Okay, great. Thank you for the reading. I always appreciate it. Gratitude. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming and joining me on my live. So I'll put away the cards and we'll move to Jane. Jane, thank you so much for your patience, Jane. If you're ready and still on the call, let me know if you have a topic or question you'd like me to explore. Otherwise, it can be left general like we've done earlier today. Yeah, I get that impression too, Alex. I think it'll flow well. Let me know how it works out, though. General, please. Absolutely, Jane. Thank you for that. I'm going to start with that one card impression pull that just tells me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then we'll move into that general reading with the Morgan Greer deck. And then we'll be able to take it one step further with another deck, depending on where you'd like to take the reading from there. Jane, what I get for you is the Seven of Swords reversed. I get two meanings from this card at the same time. And so I think it's important to follow both. And so I'm going to follow through with that. The first meaning that I get from this is you're no longer carrying other people's weight. That these swords that you've been carrying were not yours, and you've realized that and you've now put them down. Now, swords represent heavy thoughts and intellectual concepts. You can see here this person is taking swords and dropping certain ones behind him, leaving ones behind. For you, I feel like you've been doing that. You've been picking up swords and going through this process of what's yours and what's not yours. And now you're sorting through that process, and you can now like stop carrying other people's baggage or weight or heavy thought processes. The other meaning that comes out of this card is not allowing someone to take your thoughts, almost like intellectual theft being avoided. I don't know how that fits for you, Jane, but I'm getting a sense of both of those. And so I really think that this is about empowering yourself, really, because you're avoiding intellectual or avoiding your own thoughts to be taken advantage of, and also not carrying other people's shit, for lack of a better way of saying it. So I really think that this is a positive message of reinforcement based on what you've been through. I think you've been through something that has caused you to go through this process of working through these heavy thoughts that no longer serve you, and you're getting through that process. Let me know how you feel about that, Jane. I'm going to focus on your general reading. I'm going to pull 3 cards from this deck, and we'll look at how they speak to each other to get those messages. So 3 interesting cards, a Higher Arcana, a Court card, and a Suit card. I'm going to work my way towards that Higher Arcana. It's an important message. I can feel it. The first one I want to talk about is the Four of Pentacles reversed. Now, this is about a disruption in grounding. When the card is this way, you can see here he's got grounded, he's got this wall behind him. He's got what he needs on his head, in his grasp, and foundational. When it's reversed, it's like something's disrupted that. And it just takes going through the process of resolving the challenge to flip that card again so that you get that grounding and structure for yourself. But in the meantime, something has caused maybe a crack in the foundation that may need to be resolved, or just something that created this destructure. The King of Swords reversed is usually about not being able to decide something that's heavy on your mind. It can either be unable to decide or indecision, but either way, not able to sit in the throne of the King of Swords at this time. When you resolve the challenge or figure out what you need, sometimes with the King of Swords, it's missing information. This card will flip around and you can now sit in that throne, reign over that kingdom, make that decision based on what's heavy on your mind. But in the meantime, it looks like this. Now, the next card is really interesting because I feel like when you find grounding and you are able to make these decisions for yourself, everything changes, because the next card is the Wheel of Fortune. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is about fortune in your future, but it takes a process to get there. You may need patience, time perhaps, or a process involved that you have to go through, but either way it leads to a good place. I have a feeling the process has to do with these cards. When you resolve the challenge of what you're up against and what's stopping you from making the decision, and then you can ground yourself, that's empowerment, and that will lead to this journey of prosperity or fortune in your future. I think focus on the journey, Jane. I see this as being a progress, not something that you're just starting. And you know, keep the goal in mind. Whatever this fortune is at the end of the process, I think it'll make the journey worth it. It reminds me of that expression, you know, the journey is often the lesson itself. It's not so much about the destination as it is growing and developing along the way. I do hope that's helpful. I'm being drawn to my Sacred Destiny deck, and so I'm going to follow through with that. This deck often describes the portion of life path that someone is walking. When I use this deck, it often allows it to make more sense why something is happening, because it's part of the life path, like part of your destiny. And so I'm going to focus on that. I want to know what this has to do with the path that you're walking. Thank you for that feedback there, Jane. Could be a couple things. Apply it to the general view. If you feel like it could be a couple things, it may be talking generally about those couple things. The Flow card. Now I like to show this card sometimes this deck speaks to people like, I had a dream about that, or I received comments like, oh, that's my tattoo, or my daughter's name is, you know, so there's always usually a connection with the imagery. And so I'm just going to allow you to connect with the imagery for a moment. How does it speak to you? The meaning of the card itself is often about the flow, the naturalization of something. Something seems very flowy, very natural. It uses the depiction of like the flow of the moon, the full moon with the calm water, very serene, very calming, very peaceful looking. And it's really about how you initiate this, how you decide to go forward. I think what the process of this is to determine the flow, to go easy on yourself, to not be too hard, to be able to soften the journey. There seems to be this lesson that may be involved in terms of going with the flow, so to speak, allowing things to materialize. You may have to relinquish control in order to get to where you're going. I hope that makes sense. Let me know your thoughts on that, Jane, or if you have any questions. When I look at this reading as a whole, I see swords and pentacles with a higher arcana. So the message that you needed to hear is about spiritual development and journey, as well as what you need for yourself and the way that you're thinking about this. No wands, no chalices. And so cups represent emotion in tarot, and because none are showing up here, I really think you understand your emotions really well. You've done the deep inner work, and it's just a matter of understanding and applying that emotional process, as well as no wands. I think you're taking the right actions, because if you weren't, you'd have wands all over the table trying to direct you differently, right? So maybe that's confirmation for you, Jane, that you're taking the right action, you're feeling the right way, like your feelings are legitimate. It's really about what you need for yourself and how you're thinking about this. Thank you for that feedback. That's a tough one that you're trying to work on. I would suggest taking your time, allowing the process of that learning experience of what you're working on. Given that the Wheel of Fortune is on the table, it could be the process that's needed, right? Taking that time to go through what you're working on. And spiritual development and journey is standing up for me with that one higher arcana appearing on the table. I really think this is about how you're developing as a soul in a spiritual entity. So trust the journey. Like I said, the lessons are often more important than the destination, the ways in which we learn and develop as we grow. There's a lot of potential here. When I bring this reading right back to where you started, where you're at in the moment, with the Seven of Swords reversed, this makes sense to me that this could be the control that's being relinquished, perhaps, if it's about things that you carry or that's not yours, that's heavy on your mind, right? Maybe those are the swords that need to be let go of. I do hope this is helpful, Jane. Let me know if you have any questions or feedback, or if there's anything here that didn't quite fit. But I really appreciate you joining me tonight on the live and receiving a reading from you. So thank you so much. And if there's anyone else who would like to receive a reading, just let me know. You can always reach out to me through my website, staffordtarot.com, as well as through the store, soulintention1111.ca. I do offer free one-card impression pulls regularly, whether you're in the store or at a market or festival or at an activity that I'm involved with. I always offer those free one-card impression pulls. And then if it's your birthday or anniversary, I will extend that further into my heart chakra deck to give you some insight on what you need for yourself. But I like to offer those free readings. I really think that they're helpful, and not everyone wants to pay for readings. Not everyone can afford the full reading. And so just getting that little bit of insight can be helpful without getting into the whole details of an entire reading. But I always offer them at the beginnings of my readings because they are that insightful. They tend to be that helpful. And I like to compare where someone's at now compared to the question that they've asked. Sometimes it makes absolute sense. No wonder you're feeling like this when all that's happening, right? You're very welcome, Jane. Thank you for that message. So please feel free to join me on my next Tarot Talk live event, which is going to happen on September 15th, Tuesday, September 15th, 2026. It's going to start at 8 p.m., similar to tonight. And it's going to be based on scary cards. We're going to talk about the cards that scare people when they jump out on the deck, or when they appear on the table, and you look at it and get an impression and go, oh, what does that mean? We're going to talk about that. One of the examples I can give tonight is the Death card, often a scary card that comes out and people misassociate the meanings. And so we're going to talk about that next month on September 15th. So join me at 8 p.m. that night, and take good care. Check out the websites that I mentioned. And if you're interested to learn more about shadow work, divination, witchcraft, or magic practice, you can always check out my other website, www.askagraywitch.com, which is a blog that was designed to help people create practices for themselves that are personally meaningful. So I do hope that all that information out there is helpful. If you have any questions whatsoever, like I said, you can reach out to me on any of those platforms. And please join me next month when we discuss the more intimidating messages that can come from the cards. So thank you so much for joining me. I do wish you all well. Oh, you're very welcome, Jane and Dean. Thank you for those messages. Tomorrow night, thanks for your question, Dean. Tomorrow night, I'll be doing my self-tarot workshop. And so it's $30 per participant to anyone who wants to learn self-tarot. It's an introduction to learn tarot for yourself, to do self-tarot readings. I teach a certain spread that I used to start learning tarot readings and to realize how the cards were speaking to me through my intuition. It was an extremely helpful tool that I teach in the class to help others learn, as well as we go through all of these symbolisms and meanings that constructed the cards, because all of the hints and everything that you need to know to read the cards are in the imagery of the cards itself. You don't actually need the book or the definitions of each meaning of the cards in order to read tarot. You just have to understand the symbolisms and follow your intuition, and that's the way that workshop teaches. And then it also offers a free reading so that you can see that path style of reading in action. So if you have any questions about that, reach out. But all that information is available on that soulintention1111.ca website. So thank you so much, and thank you everybody who joined me on this Tarot Talk Live event. I really appreciate that, the support, and I really appreciate offering these readings. I really hope that they're helpful. So take good care, bright blessings always, and we'll see you next month on Tuesday, September 15th, 2026 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Take good care.